Well, we're actually going right to the source. The sage of sages, the seer of seers, the prognosticator of prognosticators, Phil. Punxsutawney Phil is going to join me right here live on Morning Rush.
Okay, well, we're going to switch gears talking about that to talking about a guy who's about 20 pounds, covered with hair, beady eyes. Incredible.
Let's go to Jen. She's got him there.
Yeah, she certainly does. Go ahead, Jen, take it away.
Well, Phil is on his way here. It has been cloudy, snowy all morning long, but now the sun is starting to peek out. What does that mean for Phil's prognostication tomorrow morning? We're going to ask him right here after the break in Barclays Square.
And now a strong swinger from the south, General Beauregard Lee of Lilburn, Georgia. Beau lives outdoors in a miniature antebellum mansion in a suburb of Atlanta. Scouts say he has an honorary PhD from Georgia governors and a commendation from the National Weather Service. And for the past 5 years, Beauregard goes with an early spring.
Well, I'll tell you what, after the weather you're having in Atlanta today, you need an early spring. I think today is your coldest day of the winter. But tomorrow on Groundhog Day, it's going to be a chilly one, but the sky should be clear, and that would actually indicate 6 more weeks of winter, according to Beauregard Lee. What will the official seer of seers or sage of sages, prognosticator of prognosticators say? Phil, Punxsutawney Phil. We're live in Punxsutawney, and I'm hoping to talk to Phil here coming up in just a few minutes. He's got a busy morning. You know, a popular thing to do on Groundhog Day is get married. So I think he's actually attending a wedding right now here in Punxsutawney, but we're hoping to get him back in just a few minutes. Maria, I know you have some forecasts, though, in the meantime.
I sure do. You know, it's always tough. Phil's such a diva. You know, he just wants to be fashionably late. But, you know, it's...
Okay, thanks so much, Maria. Okay, right now, let's set the stage for you. Pennsylvania, the town of Punxsutawney, they're going nuts. They're buzzing with excitement.
They are. By the way, Groundhog Day not filmed there because Harold Ramis, who did the movies from Chicago, so a lot of it was shot back outside the Chicago area. And Jen Carfagno is there. And I know that we were supposed to get Phil this hour, but Jen says he's at a wedding. Jen, did you also know, I want to tell everybody, you have to actually wear those gloves that people wear that when they go to shark, you know, down with sharks, because he's prickly and can hurt.
But he's got a really strong jaw. That's what groundhogs are known for, actually. Their jaw, and their jaw is strong. Their teeth are very sharp. So yeah, the handlers, and there's only 2 of them that handle Phil. They wear these really strong chain link gloves when they handle him. You know, Phil is very mild spirited. Really, for a groundhog, he's very well taken care of. But he's still a groundhog. It's really interesting. There are 15 in the inner circle, and those are Phil's handlers. 2 of them are the ones that handle him specifically. But the others in the inner circle escort Phil to events throughout the year. I mean, this really is a year-long event for Punxsutawney Phil. Tomorrow is the big day, Groundhog Day. And today, on this Groundhog Day Eve, I'm standing in Barclays Square, which looks a lot like what you expect Groundhog Day to look like according to the movie. In Woodstock, Illinois, where the movie was filmed, it was modeled after the Barclays Square here in Punxsutawney. But tomorrow's prognostication will take place in Gobbler's Knob, which is actually where the very first Groundhog Day back in the late 1700s took place. Now, the forecast for tomorrow on Gobbler's Knob is 8 degrees. It is going to be cold. I'm expecting it to be mostly cloudy. Based on the weather forecast, I'd be expecting Phil to not see his shadow, but I certainly think there's a possibility he could, because 86% of the time he has predicted 6 more weeks of winter. All right, our meteorologists did some forecasts of their own, and here is what Nick Walker had to say.
This Groundhog Day, my furry friend Phil has no chance of seeing his shadow. This Groundhog Day, my furry friend Phil has no chance of seeing a shadow. This Groundhog Day, my furry friend Phil has no chance of seeing a shadow. I feel like I've done this before.
But we'll get the real answer from Phil tomorrow at Gobbler's Knob. We'll be live from Punxsutawney, and tonight live from the Groundhog Eve banquet, which is very special.
I want to really quickly bring in Jen. Unfortunately, Jen, Weekend View team in dead last. Eric Fisher's crying in a corner somewhere. How are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, I mean, my eyes are tearing because it's cold out here, but a little bit of that for the Fantasy Snowfall League. We're just 60 inches behind for the season when you tally up all our teams, so bad luck.
All right, Jen, can't wait for next week.
Oh, you know, every February 2nd, Punxsutawney Phil makes his seasonal prediction, surrounded by a lot of pomp and circumstance, including those men in the top hats. But who in the world are those men? Well, meteorologist Jen Carfagno has the answer.
Hear ye, hear ye. On Gobbler's Knob, on this magnificent...
Whether the prediction is an early spring or not, Punxsutawney Phil is much more than a groundhog with an attitude. He's a star. Are you Phil's bodyguard?
I'm Phil's body. I'm a little bit everything, Secret Service, the whole 9 yards.
Meet Bob Roberts, nickname
His Protector.
and the oldest member of the Inner Circle.
It's sort of an honor to be an Inner Circle member in Punxsutawney. You're supposedly a celebrity.
For 25 years, Roberts has been part of this exclusive club, responsible for taking care of Phil and for carrying on a tradition that's more than 100 years old.
Remember that there are a lot of serious things in the world, and Groundhog Day is not one of them. That's pretty much our motto.
Jeff Lundy is the current vice president of the Inner Circle.
My job is to try to keep the president straight. I pretty much follow him around, and we try to just coordinate all the activities of the members. All the members work hard probably about 9 months out of the year. We take about 3 months off. It's kind of like baseball season.
Tradition dictates a team of men, but is it time for a change? Is it time to include women?
We should have women in the Inner Circle, and I always tell the guys, and you can't do that, that's not tradition. I said, they will straighten us out.
And really, why the top hats?
Phil is the king of the groundhog and demands to be treated with royalty. And so the top hat, the overcoats, the tuxedo are all what's expected when you're around royalty.
But it's usually cold in Punxsutawney in February.
We've had really fortunate weather the last 10 years, but there were some periods where it was truly -10, and the top hat's not enough.
Now, cold aside, and the wish for spring, there are those who think the whole thing is rigged.
People, I think, have the idea that the Inner Circle gets together and actually decides, and that's absolutely not correct.
Nope, it's all up to Phil. And this year, Bob Roberts makes the official proclamation.
It is an honor, and I hope I do a good job.
In Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
Back to the groundhog. You know, for more than 100 years, the small town of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, has been celebrating its famous forecaster, Phil, every February 2nd. But it's not until relatively recently that Phil's predictions have made it onto the national stage. Part of it's due to Phil having gone Hollywood. And meteorologist Jen Carfagno explains.
Thousands of people travel to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania every February 2nd. To see what Phil has to say about the future of the season.
Many shadows do I see. 6 more weeks of winter it must be.
Back in the early days, it was a bit more relaxed.
The old-timers used to tell us they used to drive up there in a car, they'd have a cup of coffee, and the ceremony would take place. There'd be a few hundred people.
Over time, this annual event became more formal and grew. And grew. And in the early 90s, Phil earned a cult following.
Excuse me, where's everybody going?
To Gobbler's Knob. It's Groundhog Day.
The movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray was a major reason why.
After the movie, frankly, that really changed the dynamics.
Don't drive angry.
Now the Groundhog Club is very protective of its image and the 115-year groundhog tradition. So its members ask that the writers have respect.
Our only concern was, hey, we don't mind being made fun at. We just don't want to look stupid. And as long as it's done tongue-in-cheek and is fun and enjoyable, we have no problem with it.
Standing here among the people of Punxsutawney.
It was actually filmed in Woodstock, Illinois, a town similar to Punxsutawney, and not to mention being close to Bill Murray's hometown. But there is one notable difference. In the movie, Gobbler's Knob is part of the town square. The real knob is 2 miles away. Are visitors upset it doesn't look the same?
There are some people that come with that expectation. I don't think anybody leaves disappointed. There are a lot of serious and important things in life. Groundhog Day is not one of them. It's just serious fun. And that's the way we look at it.
I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno. It's fantastic time here, and actually we're at the Groundhog Eve banquet here, and the guest of honor tonight is Danny Rubin, the screenwriter for the movie Groundhog Day. Danny, the movie started it all. Tell me, how did you ever come up with the premise of Groundhog Day as getting repeated?
Well, first of all, I didn't start the ceremony. It's been going on for 100 years, but I came up with the idea of a guy repeating a day, and then I really quickly had to figure out which day that would be, a birthday, a holiday. I just opened my calendar, and the next day was Groundhog Day, and I said, that'll work.
So had you ever been to Punxsutawney before the movie?
I had not, but I used to do trade shows, and I wrote one for Belle of Pennsylvania, and I'd heard about that. That's how I knew about it.
So give us some scoop. How many times did Phil Connor actually have Groundhog Day? How many years passed?
It's become kind of a parlor game online for people to figure it out, and I hate to disabuse them. Nope.
So tell me what it means coming here to Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney.
This is my first time back in 21 years, and it's amazing. I'm just so delighted to be here. It's like a homecoming of sorts.
Have you been to the Knob before for the actual prognostication?
I came in 21 years ago with Bill Murray. I was the one standing behind Bill Murray the whole time. We were doing research just to see. They were shooting in 3 weeks, and we had to see what it actually looked like, and we got a lot of very good information.
Speaking of shooting the movie, you went out there for a little bit. How do you shoot a movie that takes place on the same day, in the same season, with the same kind of weather every day?
They had an awful lot of people working on that, and it was over the changing of the season as well, from winter to spring. They had to deal with that in shooting costumes and what you would wear. They were very clever about it, the fake snow, everything.
So Danny, what does Groundhog Day mean to you? Is it a special day for you?
Oh, it's like my birthday, even better. People come, it's better than anything. It is a very special holiday for my entire family.
All right, well, happy early birthday to you, Danny.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you so much. Kelly, Paul, the banquet's about to start, so I'll send it back to you.
All right, sounds like a lot going on there, Jen. Thank you so much. I know this Groundhog Day means a lot to her as well. We've been emailing each other back and forth, and she was very excited to do this event.
All right, sounds like a good time. Too bad. Maybe we'll be there next year.
I'm here at the Groundhog Eve banquet with Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor Jim Cowley. So, Jim, you're a guest at the banquet tonight. Is this your first trip to Punxsutawney?
This is not my first trip to Punxsutawney, but it is my first trip for this, the most important of all days in Punxsutawney.
Groundhog Day. Now, have you ever been to the Knob, been there for the prognostication?
Well, I've been to the Knob, but I've not yet. As a matter of fact, I just moments ago finally met Phil. I've realized a lifelong dream. I can notch that off the bucket list. I have met Punxsutawney Phil, and I'm looking forward to being with him tomorrow as he makes his prediction. And by the way, in the 127 years that he's been making predictions, he's never been wrong. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's his story, too. And I think he's right somewhere in the world, that's for sure. It's an old tradition, right? Groundhog Day dates back to Candlemas Day. And, you know, what do you think about Pennsylvania really owning this holiday? Groundhog Day is Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania's holiday.
We couldn't be more proud. Phil has been making some important contributions to the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for a long time. One of my favorite stories, back in the Prohibition days, he once threatened that it would be 60 additional weeks of winter unless he got a drink. So he's a groundhog after my own heart. Of course, he's been on Oprah, he's been on Regis and Kathy Lee, he's been on CBS this morning, he's been actually on the Jumbotron on Times Square. He is as much an important Pennsylvania ambassador as any living human being is.
You know, it's kind of ironic that this holiday, which is celebrating the weather, and the weather has not been so great to Pennsylvania. We've had, you know, Irene, Lee, Sandy. You know, what are you guys feeling about the weather these days?
Well, I talked to Phil about the weather, and he tells me that things are looking good. We don't want to tip our hand for tomorrow morning, but he's saying we have been through some kind of tough cycles recently, and hopefully some relief's on the way soon.
All right, so last question. What are you rooting for, shadow or no shadow?
I'm going to leave it to Phil. I'm going to leave it to Phil, and I'm just going to enjoy this wonderful celebration of tradition and history in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I want to encourage everybody who's watching out there, come next year. Enjoy Punxsutawney. You'll love it.
It's one of my favorite events. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much.
Thank you.